Hey there, welcome to Synth Seeker. My name is Luke. Today we're doing something completely different. I don't do synth reviews, but today we're going to do a synth exploration. This is the Kodamo Mask 1 Bitmask synthesizer, which I just took ownership of last week. I want to talk about what is the deal with this synth, why did I buy it, why am I super happy with it, and why you may or may not want to buy it. I can't review it because this is going to be an exploration video. It may be long, it may be boring, but I'm going to be digging through. I've been messing with this for maybe about 3 hours total time in the last week, with 2 of that being this morning sitting here. My wife went away on holiday this morning, so it's just me and the dog. I set it out on the coffee table, let all the cables and everything explode out of the studio into the into the library, into the living room. Made a huge mess, and so in the midst of all that joyous shenanigans, I'm sort of digging into this, and I'm finding this synth to be truly fascinating. It was fascinating on paper, which is what made me buy it, and then now that I've got my hands on it, it has definitely justified its existence in my collection, and I want to talk about why, and I want to explore some pieces of this and highlight the interesting things about it that made me want to add it to my collection. And really, that is something that I'm sort of putting down in this documentation so that I can, think about it. The process of speaking and writing things down, or in this case, recording, helps clarify sort of my internal understanding of how things are. And then if that's useful as far as something that you run across on the channel, if that's useful to you, there you go. So let's talk about this. This is a digital synth. It's super opinionated. I'll get into that, but let's just hear some sounds. I'm not going to do a lot of preset surfing. I haven't done anything to this. I haven't updated its firmware. I think it's version 3.5 or something, or 3.4, something close to. It's close to the current firmware, but not the current firmware. I haven't loaded any sounds on it. I've made 2 presets so far, or rather I've saved 2 presets. This is one. It's called, that's just me dicking around. That's not a particularly happy or good preset as far as I'm concerned. But this one, let's bring it down an octave. It's really interesting. It's a very, very playable key bed. You know me, I'm a grid player. I don't play keys very much. The keys are weighted. I don't have anything to compare this to, like, as far as, I've got other synths. I should say, I don't have anything to compare the sound engine to. From a physical perspective, like build, it's nice. It's metal. The keys feel real good. They're short. As far as, this is a Fatar, I forget which model it is. Again, I haven't dug into the specs yet. The keys themselves are short compared to other keys, like lengthwise. This is all running into Ableton, and I've got effects queued up in Ableton, but they're not active right now. So these are just the effects inside it. All right, so why did I buy this thing? On paper, it's a synthesis method that is unique to this synth currently. There may be some software out there that does this. And you can go watch videos on like how the sort of explanation of what bit mask synthesis is, or go to their website and check it out. But basically it's a digital synthesis method that slices up sine waves and reorders and shifts things around and transforms sections of it and glues them back together. I can show you, let's see, let's find an init actually. It's not one knob per function, right? So I'm a big one knob per function guy. All right, and so why did I go with this thing, which is a parameter-based synth? It's basically got a whole bunch of mode buttons, a parameter sort of selector, and then a value encoder, right? So you have to tweak the filter, you have to hit filter, and then it defaults to cutoff, so the value knob is currently set to cutoff. But if I want to do resonance, I have to go over by a parameter or hit filter multiple times. So I could cycle through the parameters for the filter here, or I can pick filter mode and then cycle through the parameters here. I should say I can move through them. They don't wrap around. But right. Unlike the Ensoniq synths I have, like the ESQ1 and the SD1, which are also parameter-based synths, they've basically got modes and then parameter selection. On that, it uses the 6 sort of soft buttons around the display, and then a value slider on the ESQ1 and the SD1. But unlike that, this, as you're changing parameter values, it does update the sound. On the SD1, on the Ensoniq, on the Ensoniq synths, you have to trigger a new note to have the parameters take effect. So that's nice. You can sort of get real-time control. So if you tweak an effect or an LFO or something like that, you do hear it. But let's talk. I wanted to talk about, open the filter up all the way. Let's talk about this oscillator thing, bit mask oscillating. So you do have to learn. That's what I've been doing over the last couple of hours. When you choose a parameter, it says the parameter name on this little tiny 4-character display and then gives you what the current value is, and you can change it. Except that it's a, however many segments this LED is. Is it 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 segment? I don't know, but they're, like that says, to me that says NASK, N-A-S-K, and the K is a little weird, and the N is meant to be an M, but they don't have the sort of diagonal segments to do it. So you have to kind of learn what the symbols mean as you go through. Like, okay, so that says mask, that says tune, sen, or sem, oh, semitones, that's what that is, semitone pitch value. Start and speed is SPD. Anyway, you'll learn what those are fast enough. But these bit masks are part of what makes it unique for me. So let's bring it down. I'm just going to move through some of these. So as you move through these bit masks, they basically are sort of in groups. And then within each group, as you go through the bit masks, it's sort of like moving through a wavetable, but with no morphing. So there'll be sort of a bass sound, and then the timbre will shift slowly over 6 to 8 to 10 other bit masks, and then it'll change completely to some new family and then go through. So that was an abrupt change to that. Right. So from 46, so from 32 to 46, we move through sort of a family of bit masks. All right, and now, and it doesn't morph between them, okay? So there's the limitation there. It's not intended to be a wavetable, it's a set of bit masks. However, well, here, let me... Now, you hear how they're getting stuttery? It's because the frequency that we're playing it at is really low. And so we can bring it up by moving the semitone. So now, so as you're moving through these bit masks, I've run into basically bit masks that have been transposed down like 3 octaves. So you get into this really clicky but rhythmic place. Let me bring it back down to -24. It's interesting. Right, we want to bring those back up so we can hear what they sound like from a timbre perspective. Anyway, so there's a whole bunch in here, 512, something like that, over 400, and the bit masks feel real chiptune-y when the filter is open all the way, right? It feels very sort of 8-bit sort of things. There are bit masks for all the standard analog style stuff, right? That's this little label over here, right? So if you want, you know, a saw, a square, you know, a sine, you know, a pulse, whatever, you can just dial it directly to that one, right? So where's my sawtooth here? Let's bring it down. Right, so you can do subtractive analog stuff, but where it gets really interesting is when you start moving between these bit masks. So on this oscillator, one of the parameters is, so the mask is a parameter, its semitone setting is a parameter. You can tune it, so yeah, you can detune them and get that sort of thick detuned sound. But then there's a start parameter and a speed parameter. And what it is based on the mask you're on, that's the, I want this sawtooth to be you could think of it as the destination, it's home. So we start with this home bit mask. Then we go to the start parameter and you can go some distance away from it. So we'll say, hang on a second. We'll say, we're going to start 20 bit masks away. All right, and then the speed parameter, if it's set to 0, it doesn't move at all, but if you start increasing the speed, you hear it. It's sort of starting to traverse the bit masks to head back. And it doesn't interpolate between them, but it does this kind of, there is these little intermediate steps. I'm going to speed it up so it moves a little faster. And then we arrive at sawtooth, right? So it will do this transition. So you can use this, and it goes pretty fast. You can use this to put an interesting harmonic transient at the beginning of your attacks. It could be just a click to, and you can specify that it should loop or not. And you could say loop, yes, in a sort of cyclic loop where it goes back to the beginning and starts over, or you can have it do bidirectional where it ping-pongs back and forth, or pendulums. And when you do the bidirectional thing, when you start increasing your speed, it gets more timbres, right? Right, you get into this like ring mod sideband amplitude modulation frequency mod thing. Now, it needs effects, right? So I'm just going to throw some reverb on it because it makes a huge difference. So I'll get to its internal effects eventually, but let's just put some reverb on it here. All right. So I don't think this is like an amazingly awesome sound. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm blown away by what this oscillator does. But I'm blown away by what it does functionally, if not auditorially, aurally, whatever the right word is there. Because as far as creating rich frequency and sort of timbre, rich timbres, it's really, really interesting. And it will do it rhythmically, which I think is, I don't have another synth that does that, right? So it's sort of like, this is an odd duck. And so when we start, and there's two of these oscillators that you can layer together or crossfade between, right? You can, bring one down. You can use an envelope to bring one down while you bring the other one up. And then you've got your filtering. And the oscillators, the noise generator, and the filter all have distinct isolated envelopes. So the oscillator envelope is for its volume, so bringing the volume of the oscillator up. So if I engage the oscillator 1 envelope, I can set oscillator 1's level. I'll say this, the synth is loud too. Like, there's been a whole bunch of, over the last few years, digital synths that have been released that people always complain. They're like, its output is so low. This thing's quite loud. Right, but we've got a level and we have an ADSR envelope on it, right? So we can fade it in. We can fade it down and bring the sustain down. Bring it up a bit. The envelopes are per note. The LFOs are free running and not per note, they're global. But the envelopes are per note. It's interesting. All right, so let's filter this thing. So we've got this rich timbre, right? Let's do something with it. Let's see, let's go to our filter. Again, modal, moving around, right? There's not one knob per function. So if you don't, this takes a little getting used to. I like ensoniq synths, I like parameter-based synths, so this one I can deal with. But it is like it has extra steps as opposed to just grabbing a knob. So we're in filter mode, we're on the cutoff. We'll bring the cutoff all the way down, we'll go to the filter envelope, and we will add some. All right, I think my oscillator envelope the attack is a little long. We'll bring it. There we go. Right? That's interesting. Like if I wanted to make that sound on any of my other synths, I'm not sure how I would do it. I don't think I can. It would take a lot more modulation setup to get that sort of timbre. Now let's talk about some more things that the Kodamo group, I don't remember the creator's name, but I think his last name is Damo. But he's opinionated, or the designers were opinionated, in that we are used to, I certainly am used to, ADSR envelopes where I've got parameters for attack, decay, sustain level, and release time. So attack time, decay time. Here's the decay time options. It goes from 0 to 15, right? There's only 16 options for delay curves in this thing. It's not infinitely variable or variable to a high degree on a encoder or on a fader, on a potentiometer. So what they've done is they've curated, they've picked what they think the 16 most useful curves are, ranging from, whoops, yeah, ranging from nothing to a short decay, to a longer decay, out to a, that's sort of the longest decay, and it's pretty long. This is true for almost all the parameters in the synth, from everything from the effects to the LFO speeds and depths to the envelopes. There is a limited set of curated curves for every parameter, which again is an extreme limitation, but in practice it works pretty well. Like I haven't run across like a decay value where the difference between decay 8 and decay 7 was I needed 7.5. Like I really need to dial it in to just a little bit more than 7, but less than 8. That hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm pretty happy with it. It's interesting. All right, let's talk about effects. So there are 2 effects in this. Effects 1 and Effects 2. And Effects 1 has 4 effects that are capable of being used here. It has a chorus. Hang on a second. Set the balance. Set the amount of effect. So it has a chorus. And again, the chorus, I'm used to a chorus or any modulation effect having a depth and a speed and maybe a feedback option on a chorus, right? This chorus does not. This chorus has 16 chorus settings. This is chorus 1. This is chorus 8. This is chorus 16. Right? So it's not like they're more intense the higher the number. They're actually different sets of parameters. So chorus 1, chorus 2, a little bit more depth, less depth, but I think a faster time. More depth and a faster time. That's again more depth and the time is getting faster still. Now it's starting to slow down. Right? These are variants and they sound distinctly different. That one's got a little vibrato in it too. Is my mod wheel down? No, that's in the chorus. Right? There's that vibrato, it's speeding up. Very fast. Now it's slowing down again. Really, so the effects are effect presets or effect options that you can apply, but you can't modify them at all. And again, so that's super opinionated. It's a severe limitation unless you want to go outside the box, right? Or go outside the synth and into the box, outside this box, which is what I tend to do anyway. Most synths, the reverbs are so I use reverb pedals or reverb in Ableton. But at least the Effects 1 effects, of which there is chorus, distortion, so the distortion's pretty subtle. Can you hear there's some crunch there? Let's do this. Let's bring our sustain on the filter up. Can you hear that? It's crunchy, but not crazy. Let's go back to the effects. So distortion, there's also a bit crush. And again, it's not just more bit crushed, it's like the bit crush 11 or 12 is brighter than bit crush 15. And then there is, what is this, ring mod. Again, you get that side banding. Let's play with the balance. I'm like, this is not that's not the most musical effect ring mod, right? But if you're going to do rhythm stuff with really sharp transients, running it through a ring mod is interesting. You can also modulate the effect setting. So you hear me turn in the value dial and running through the effects. You can modulate that with the envelope or, say, mod wheel or after pressure. Anyway, so that is the first effect. And then the second effect is your choice of a delay. And again, like the chorus, I'm used to a delay effect having a time value, a feedback value, a wet-dry mix. This does not have that. This has a wet-dry in that you can control how much of the effect is present. But like timing-wise, it's like a slapback. So again, super opinionated, very much a curated set of parameter options in the effects. All right. So anyway, all right. So let's talk about why I like this synth. So I like opinionated synths. I like synths that say, we're going to make an assertion that says, we think these are interesting sounds and we want you to learn how to use the system that we've set up for generating these sounds, right? I think it's, I'm not going to say wrong, but I think it's maybe entitled is also too strong a word. I hear a lot of my synth peers and brethren, and I have done this as well, where we say, whoa, here's the new synth, and we look at it and we go, you know, oh, it doesn't have XYZ feature or something like that. Or, you know, we'll compare two synths and say, this one has better options than this one. And that's a pattern, I think, that sets us up for like constant disappointment, or at least sounding like we're whining all the time. Like every synth review I have watched or read inevitably has a laundry list of cons, right? These are the things that are bad about this. And it's generally, it doesn't have feature X, Y, or Z, or it doesn't give us this. It's never a con. It's like, this synth sounds bad, right? That's not really a con that you ever hear. I don't think it's one that really happens, because something that sounds bad doesn't make it to market. We have to, it seems like there's a pattern where we have to find something to dig on a given piece of hardware synths certainly, where we're like, you know, it has mono aftertouch, it has channel pressure, but it doesn't have poly aftertouch, or it doesn't support MPE, and people position that as a con. It's like, well, you know, Do you have a refrigerator? Yes. Does it have an ice maker in it? No, it does not. Well, Jesus Christ, man, all refrigerators, you know, have ice maker. Any good refrigerator's got an ice maker these days. Well, no. You know, that's what it feels like sometimes when we're complaining that something is missing a particular feature. This synth embraces that and says, you know, not F you, but here I am what I am. There's your Popeye reference. You know, and you can learn to use me and go on an adventure to see what can you make out of this. Now, this isn't a cheap synth either. It's $2,000. So, you know, people will say, well, for that hey man, that's like that's two Hydra synths, right? Or it's almost 3 multi-polys, or it's 2 multi-polys. I'm out of the loop for pricing on those synths right now. And yeah, it's not. If you're getting into hardware and this is a synth you're looking at because you want to, you know, get your first, heaven forbid, your first. I don't think this would make a great first synth if you're trying to learn subtractive synthesis. But if you're looking at this as like your second or third synth, it may not, you know, you need to know what you're heading towards. I don't think it will make you happy. And there are better choices to be had, certainly per dollar value or euro or whatever your unit of currency is. But from a collector's perspective, right? And I am blessed in that I can be a collector. You know, this is really interesting. And it's just an extremely playable and fun synth. All right, I've been babbling. Let's make some noise. All right. Anyway, so that's the sort of psychology of how I got to where I'm at. Some of the limitations that are in this synth that you may find super annoying, that I don't find annoying, I find them interesting constraints. And it's almost like a puzzle for how do you work through sonically, work around the limitations or work with them and embrace them to, you know, do something interesting. All right, so let's do some preset surfing, right? Let me turn off all the effects in Ableton. I had some reverb on there. And so some people have said this sounds very much like an FM synth sometimes. So any effects or reverb you hear is from the synth right now. There is a pan spread parameter. I'm going to actually turn it off temporarily. So pan spread has 16 levels of pan spread, right? It's not like, you know, turn it from mono to full stereo. So like that's off. Here's halfway. It's a little broader to full on. Let's drop it an octave. Something to note, another thing that's curated on this thing, they've gone to a lot of trouble to get the velocity curves and the aftertouch curves really playable. Liking that. All right, let's go back through here. One One of the things I haven't explored is, and I think I've seen this when I was researching the synth, watched a couple videos, Jorb and Sonic State and stuff like that, and they talked about some of the other articulation models in here, besides just polyphonic, monophonic, paraphonic. There's some slur, portamento stuff where you can hold a chord. So when you play a line where the notes are near each other, so within a few semitones, it will automatically sort of slur between them, use portamento to glide between them. But if you do a large jump, it will. That's a really interesting, I haven't dug into it yet, so let's keep going through a couple other sounds here. So like the bog standard sort of, subtractive analog stuff, it does it pretty well. Now, that's with Ableton's delay and reverb. Let's turn this off. That's the delay and reverb in the synth itself. Whoa. The low end of this thing, the low end is really like ballsy. Here's a more FM-y sort of. That's a split. Let's see. This has that slur moving in it. Interesting. So its internal reverb is pretty good, actually. I'm not gonna complain. I was making a joke with Garen M the other day about not being able to play the final countdown. Something like that. Something like that. I'm not in a cover band. There is a built-in ARP. The ARP is kind of opinionated too, right? So as far as ARP types, we've got 1 octave, note doubling within an octave, 2 octaves, 3 octaves, an alternate pattern, ping pong, 3 variations on ping pong, random, 3 variations on random, and then like chords, right? So minor, major, sus 2 and 4, sevenths, a 2 octave variant, etc., 3 octaves, fifths, 2 octaves. So the ARP has a fair decent number of patterns in it. But ARP speed, the ARP will actually sync to MIDI clock, and you can specify time divisions using speed. And you can hold it. And I'm not sure what the trig option is. I'll have to RTFM on that one. But it's 2 layers as well. It's really a fascinating. It's a simple and easy way to do layers, in that you build patches that are referred to as their voices, right? So you're in voice mode, you can go through patches. The way you build a layer is not by having like layer A, layer B kind of layering. It's that you are expected to build a voice, build a patch that would be the first layer. And then completely separate from that, you go build another preset that would be the second layer. And then you basically move to the patch you want, then click the layer button, and then dial in to that second patch. So it literally just layers 2 presets on top of each other. And so there's no concept of editing them together. You edit one, and then separately you edit the other, and then you just cake them together. And control the balance between them. So, so the parameters are what it is, and then what its semitone offset is, so you can have them be different pitches, and then balance between the 2, pan between the 2, and you can detune them slightly, and that's it. And one of the things I like about this synth is having this curated set of parameters is such a short list. Like the number of options you have is pretty small. You can hold them all in your head. I fully expect that within a few weeks, I will have every parameter in the synth memorized, as opposed to like an ensonic parameter-based synth that I will never remember what all those parameters are. I'm sure there are people out there who can, but that's too many for me. Or like the multi-poly or something like that. That's got an opera function on the panel, but still, there's so many options in some of those synths that you can't hold the model in your head. This one you can. And really, I'm really enjoying it. Let's see. Let's do a couple more and then I'll call it a day, because I just want to keep playing with this, but I needed to commit something. I have had all of these thoughts. So I'm like, let's just put it in a recording and we'll drop it out there so it's in the collection. But I have to sort of internalize how this sound, how to build patches on this thing. Otherwise, the one synth video for Berlin School isn't going to sound too good. So sometimes that's not great, right? But if we smear it with a big old black hole reverb and some delay, drop it an octave. Let's slow this LFO down too while we're there. Interesting. So, you know, one more. again with the pan spread. People love pan spread. I don't mind it, but when you're wearing headphones, it's really like disturbing. That aftertouch is so easy to play. It's going to take me some practice to... It's much... So here's a thing about the keys, right? So the longer the keys are, the easier it is to control aftertouch in small increments, right? So these keys are short. So on the black keys, when your fingers are up high near the pivot point and you're trying to apply after pressure, the aftertouch curve tends to jump. When you're on the white keys, it's a little bit easier to be smooth about it. As opposed to... not bad. You can also control the amount as well, right? So you could put a ceiling on it. Mod wheel, aftertouch, destination, aftertouch, amount. Maybe not enough. Yeah, so there's a good example of the opinionated curves, right? So I'm going to play a note and I'm going to hold after pressure down, and then I'm going to dial through the curves, and you'll hear how much it's opening the filter. You'll hear how much the filter depth changes. Right? I might argue that the lower settings could probably use a better curve value. Interesting. Anyway, so it's a learning experience. That's about it. I'm going to save this. I'm going to go throw it up on the channel and listen to whatever comments you have. Let's go back to this one that I made. Anyway, call it a day. Hey, thanks for hanging with me here on Synth Seeker, and I will talk to you later. Back with more one synth videos once I get my brain wrapped around this one. It's an interesting and unique synth. See ya.